On desire and suffering, did the Buddha only get it half right? Now, of course, I mean, I get these kind of phrases or questions in my head quite spontaneously, and then it's like, let me kind of note that down quickly because it's a good topic to open it up with somebody. And I got quite stimulated after our last talk, and I've been kind of inviting some other people to kind of meet as we're doing right now as well, just to kind of have that bubbling, fresh energy to, to get our own minds moving. So my take on this question was that I'm not a Buddhist. I don't have too much knowledge about Buddhism, though I've traveled quite a bit in Buddhist countries and I've been to quite a number of monasteries and rinpoches, etc. Though there's the little that I know, there's a lot of emphasis on desire, the wheel of desire and how that creates suffering. And there's the 8 steps and there's all the kind of principles of you have to follow of not falling into desire. Now, and me coming from a kind of trauma, working with chronic pains background, I kind of see it the other way around, that desire is kind of an outcome once we've gone through a sense of suffering, and that could be on different levels. So when I'm suffering from something, there's the impulse I create to not be with that suffering or to have it solved or to get rid of it. And I can see out of that desire manifests itself. So just a few simple examples. When I have one of my parents who's very overbearing and puts me down all the time or belittles me, I might develop a pattern of having to prove myself or being something or somebody. And I project that later on in the world of, okay, if I only have the perfect girlfriend or the perfect car or the perfect job or the perfect credentials, then I'll be somebody and I'll be recognized. Of course, a lot of that happens unconsciously throughout the years because we internalize that. So I'm kind of, hence my question or my kind of provocative way of putting it of, does desire, and it does, I mean, it does create suffering when you go into that direction, but might there be a step before that actually sets off that movement of desire? And this is more kind of from a developmental perspective, the example I just put forward. But it could also be you've been in a car accident and then you fall back on alcoholism or smoking pot or losing yourself into sex or whatever. It could be whatever, as a way of coping with the suffering of the accident because it's been overwhelming. And again, that there's a desire to want to overcome or forget, and that's intrinsically linked to suffering. So it becomes, in itself, it becomes a wheel, like suffering creates desire, and then desire eventually creates more suffering. So, but just to give it a twist and turn it around. So, I mean, that's my take on it. And of course, I like to see as I'm talking, what kind of neurons I'm triggering on your end.
I'm busily typing here so that I can keep track of the flashes that my neurons are sending. So I hear you and love the question because it gets at what has turned out to be what feels like my life's work. I recognize that all of these years of doing and teaching yoga has been about suffering. There is inherent in every yoga pose, and especially here in the West, the instigation of suffering as a means to get to a kind of bliss, akin in my mind almost to receiving a tattoo. The extended period of discomfort leading to a kind of euphoric and endorphin high,
Hmm.
and that I do a yoga class, and then it is satisfactory because I go into Shavasana and I feel so darn good and so released. But what I think is at the core of that is our culture, the way I was brought up, was to never be uncomfortable.
Right.
Take a pill, here's a solution, et cetera, et cetera. There was never the message, discomfort is your best friend.
Hmm.
Suffering is your opportunity. And I'm recognizing, even in the description I was using earlier about my middle of the night bliss session, because it was blissful to go and let go, that it was the very discomfort and seeing it as a gift, not as a problem,
Right.
that's created my current way of being in the world.
Hmm.
Relax. It is what it is. In each present moment is everything I want and need. I just don't see it yet.
Right.
And the discomfort is the I don't see it yet.
Hmm.
Rather than making that a problem, I see it as an opportunity to do present, curious patience to receive the blessing.
Right.
That's kind of what yoga turns out to be.
Mm. So how are we gonna, like when we're stuck in a certain pattern, how are we bringing that into consciousness? And again, especially so that, again, I work with people who've gone through various degrees of trauma, that what brings it into awareness that the pursuit of desire or the pursuit of endorphins, opiates, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to be a long-term strategy. So even like if I consider myself, there's certain patterns that take quite a while to interrupt because they're moving in the unconscious. So as we're talking about it, you and me, and kind of going into it as a dialogue, questioning without like being the expert, etc., etc. How is it that we're going to find out that we're stuck in a rut?
By two things. At some point, recognizing that nothing I believe, think, or feel is true. So I no longer need to be stuck in anything. If I no longer believe my feelings are true, they stop having the power to trigger the thoughts that trigger the feelings, that trigger the beliefs, that trigger the thoughts, and they become an abstract over there.
But there's also where the difficulty is, not to kind of question that your own thoughts and feelings it might just be a subjective reality, and there might be more to it, more layers to it, etc. But it sometimes seems like we need to have something serious happening to us before we actually wake up to that. It might be physical or it might be psychological, like your wife leaves or you bust your knee or you get into a car accident before you actually want to shift your reality. Because, and I say that often when I work with people, that there's two parts of the work. One is to address the emotion or post-traumatic stress, and then the other part is to address the habits we have formed around the post-traumatic stress, because the habits are kind of recreating all the time our reality, and then that reality becomes a fixed given that we rely on it and we believe in it, and that makes up our identity. So there's a lot of sense of danger of having to move away from our own sense of reality, right?